Hey guys, what's going on? My name is Cole Zarek. Welcome back to the channel. Glad to have you. And today we're going to be doing a tutorial on effects and plugins. Last time I showed you guys how to do Apple loops, and this time I'm going to show you guys how to go into the instruments and switch up the effects, the reverb, the delay, all the different ways to tweak and distort the software instruments you find on Logic Pro X. Now, no plugins are you gonna find anything outside of Logic Pro. Nothing that you like pay $60 for on a third-party website. This is a beginner's series, so it's all for you. You can find all the plugins I use and are my favorites. I'm gonna show you all of them that's just on Logic. So without further ado, let's get into it. Alright, I am showing you guys the file, the raw file of all the different instruments and everything that went into the song One Step Ahead on my SoundCloud. Now, the instruments that you're going to hear in this and how I tweak them, I'm going to kind of deconstruct what I did to make everything in this song sound the way it does. So let's take a look. Alright, so let's go to our first instruments that we're hearing in the song. And we just got these guys. We just got, here it is, okay. So what do we got here? We just got some piano. And let's take a look at some effects go into what we're hearing. We have piano right here, and then later on we're going to move into this piano effects. Very interesting sounds. Like these bells. Okay, so let's go back to the very beginning. Let's just take a look at this piano and cut out everything that we have over here. So on the left here, on your bar, you see the compressor and the channel EQ, tape delay, reverb. These are all your plugins that you basically assign to this one track. See, I turned all it off. I wasn't even clicking on the track. You got to click on your track, and these are all the plugins. This is how you add a plugin. All along this bar is you basically treating a track, basically choosing how you want to skew the sound to make it sound the way you want. And it might be hard to identify the way you want, like how you want it to sound. You might not know. I honestly, when I first started using this software, go in and click on everything. Just have a instrument out and have it looping. Just loop it. Go and loop a track over and over and over and listen to it over and over and over and just start just destroying it with plugins. Just saturate it. Just plop everything on there that you can find and see how it changes the sound. You're like, oh, well this means this and this means that. What I like to do is I like to listen to it with it and then without it. And if it's all possible, I will turn the plugin all the way to the extreme just so I can see what it's doing. Like on a reverb, to turn your reverb all the way up and then cut it on and off so you see how it's really affecting your track. So this is how it sounds with. Alright, let's just listen to it with. These are with all the effects, all the plugins, enhancing the sound of this one part. Cool. Alright, one more time, and then I'm going to turn off all these blue plugins, and we'll see how much it affects it, and then I'll turn them on and off and see how it affects it. Let's just go ahead and loop it. I'm going to do exactly what I was telling you guys, what I think you guys should go and do. Just loop it. Oh, I have to have the voice on. Alright, let's turn on tape delay. Can you hear it on the back end of when you hear it stop? It kind of continues at the back end. It kind of continues playing after it stops playing. Let's turn on Bit Crusher. Can you guys hear it? Turn it on and off. See how it's altering the sound. Let's turn on the EQ and compressor. Now the channel compressor, you're not going to notice that much unless it's heavily compressed. And same with the channel EQ. We have the channel EQ on, it's not even doing anything. If you guys want to learn how to EQ vocals, I have another video on that. Just go check out how to EQ vocals on my channel. But if you want to mess around with the sound, I recommend just playing around with the EQ. And finding out how it's changing the sound. So let's deconstruct some of my favorite plugins and some of the best ways in my eyes to alter the sound of something. So let's just go down all the way, and I'll show you guys, where is it? It's under filter and it's Fuzzwah. This is something that will completely just give it like that wah wah effect, but it gives it also a ton of other different There's also a possibility of recording and also altering the sound of this while it's recording. So I can basically hit record and make it go like this, like wow, and open it up and close it back up to help the song. That's another possibility that you guys can do. I'll show you guys how to do that. If you guys want to record, go over to here we go. Go to touch, and if you guys want to record like that, go to your Fuzzwah plugin, and this is what I was using to control the opening it up and closing it. So let's start it closed, and we can record. So I'll hit R, and now because it's recording in touch, it'll record what I'm doing. So I'm moving it with my mouse, and it'll record all that. So we'll go back and listen to it. So that's, you can totally, like if you're trying to transition or build suspense and like open it up into like a big like chorus or whatever you guys are planning with your songs, that's a really awesome way of, you can do this with any plugin. Like you can do this with EQ. We'll go back and it's still on touch, and we'll record. See? So we'll go back and listen to it, and it'll see how, ooh, that looks cool. That just looks cool. So it's so cool how you can do that. Also be careful if you like are trying to record notes on top of it to go back to read. I've messed up a ton of tracks because I forgot to do that. Just be wary of that, is my advice. So let's go back to Fuzzwah and see how there's a lot of knobs. This is actually a pretty simplistic plugin. It's not very overwhelming, like with a ton of buttons and ton of knobs. You guys will definitely go in and click something that is just overwhelming. There are a few plugins that are very visually intimidating, but this is just, how many knobs we got? Just got a few knobs and a couple on buttons. This is manageable. Go in and do what I was telling you guys before is, oh, see, it's recorded that. So let's just back. I don't want to have any of that recorded, and we'll just start with the Fuzzwah. Fuzzwah is under filter, if you guys were wondering or wanted a reminder. So let's have it, and we'll just see what this does. Go from nothing to extreme. I'll be like, okay, that does that to it. Nothing to extreme. Ooh. Wow, that's giving it some real like distortion and fuzziness. That's neat. That's cool. I like that a lot. That's kind of neat. I don't know how I'd use it. So we are on the factory defaults. We are on the nothing is selected mode. So let's mess around and see how these plugins, basically we can cycle through and it will give us already set settings that we can just listen to on our own and see how, oh, see, this is something that's highly distorted. And we can basically use these as templates. So we can find one that's close to what we want, and then we could tweak it to whatever we want it to be, which is super useful. And here's the great thing about it is if you want the funky fuzz, but you change it like a lot to make it sound exactly like how you want it. What is awesome is that you can click the drop down menu and you can save it, and you can totally save it as whatever you want for later, and then come back and it'll be there and you can click it, so you don't have to go back and try to find the same settings. So if you find the settings that you want for an instrument, you want to use it on other instruments, or you like it a lot, you want to use it in a different file and not have to finagle your way, it's super convenient just to save it as is and come back to it. So that's Fuzzwah. Another favorite of mine is Rotor. Where's Rotor at? Rotor cabinets under modulation. Rotor cabinet. Make this a little bit bigger. Alright, let's see how this affects it. This is what I'm talking about, guys. You just go in and you just start making a ton of plugins happen and see how it affects the sound. This is going to make it really, really wobbly. A couple of these presets I know are going to make them super like wobbly back and forth. Definitely muffle, definitely like that one. Let's get to one of these. Is like, here it is. See, you can see this thing. You can see this thing wobble. That's really cool. This is what I'm talking about, guys. These are all the effects, all the possibilities that you can do. Go ahead and save as if you like one of these. Rotor cabinets is definitely one of my favorites. If you guys have already learned something in the video, hit the like button, because that helps me out a lot. I do a lot of tutorials and it helps me get my videos some more views, but then also helps the people who are looking for my videos. It pops up in the search. So if you found this helpful, give it a like, and then someone else will more likely find it, and hopefully they'll think it's helpful too. So it's just everybody wins. That's how I plug my Alright, before we end this video, I'm going to show you really quickly, not so in depth as the last two plugins, but really quickly some of my favorite plugins to kind of accompany, not kind of, these are more like the stars of the show. These are like, they alter the sound so much that that's the sound that you're getting, but these other ones are more supporting roles in the plugins. So the first one we'll take a look at is Bit Crusher. This is going to add some distortion to it, but in a very palatable way for your ears, like very appealing distortion. And when you hear distortion, you think like really clipping, and but like this is going to create some more white noise, almost to the point of it being unpleasant, but just a little bit of white noise, especially with this instrument, I think does sound appealing. We start going all the way down to the point where it starts sounding like an old Nintendo game or something like that. And remember, if we just want a little bit, we can mix it. This mix means it's completely not using the plugin. This means it completely is. So you can kind of find a balance. If you want just a little touch in the background, I think that sounds kind of cool. Start clicking around. Start hearing some different plugins or some different presets. This is very cool. 8-bit challenge shift. I love the 8-bit Bit Crusher. It's really helpful. Next one is a classic one that all you guys should get acquainted with. It's called the Chorus. And that's going to widen it out. That's gonna really stretch it out to the very sides of your ears, not so center. It's also, if you're increasing the intensity, it's gonna wobble it. Another one is the phaser. It's also another way of spreading and widening out, but it's a little bit more techno sounding, like and it's sweeping. It'll fluctuate back and forth depending on what preset, what template you're going with. Some fluctuates a lot quicker to the sides of your ears. Some just kind of waver through and kind of create this vibe, this effect. Hopefully this is a nice illustration of sound going through your ear holes at this moment. So that's the phaser. And the last one I want to show you guys is probably the most drastic. And if you go to imaging and it's the stereo spread, it's probably the most drastic example of spreading it out. In my opinion, this doesn't spread it out evenly. It's very jagged. Like the sound is very jagged. It's not balanced perfectly centered or to the sides. It's not balanced. It's really kind of just jagged. Depending on, you can change like the frequency of it and the sharpness, and just mess with how this sounds. Go through some of the presets, see how they... This is one of the big things that dictates how it sounds. So if you play around with this, this will get you a drastically new sound every time you mess around with it. So that's your stereo spread, or your whatever. That's it. That's gonna do it for this video. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you guys learned something. If you did, leave a like and subscribe for more content like this. This series is definitely going to continue. A lot of you guys communicated in the comments section that this was helpful. Let me know if something was helpful, if something wasn't helpful, or if you got tips for me. Leave it in the comment section below. Always check my comments, always hit you guys up. Appreciate the love, and thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.